morning and welcome back to Faces of Faith. We're so glad that you're joining us once again for this program. I'm Angelique Walker-Smith, your host, and we do hope here at Faces of Faith that you've been watching our program over recent days and recent months. We've been focusing in on Africa and what are the churches doing over in Africa, a kind of Indy-Africa connection in Cameroon. But we've also been talking about Philanthropy Day, and you will know that last week, and I believe even into this week, Philanthropy Week and Philanthropy Day is going on. But today we're moving on to a subject that we have addressed before on this program, and that is how do we make the connections with our Hispanic Latino friends. You will know that our Hispanic Latino community is growing, and Indianapolis is a welcoming place, and we're here to promote that welcome. And you will know that even a few shows ago we did a program similar to this, but we're going to invite you to something very specific today. And if you'll bear with me here in just a moment, we're going to cue up some tape to show you the announcement of this Hispanic Latino program relative to three very important initiatives. An initiative that will be happening here locally, then over in Cincinnati regionally, and then in Mexico. Well, there you are at the Martin Luther King Park in Indianapolis, and you will see a number of dignitaries and various guests who are standing in front of, you see the arm in the back, that's the arm of Robert Kennedy and Dr. Martin Luther King, a statue in their memory. And the group is there announcing the initiatives that we'll be discussing here in just a moment. You see there Mr. Kennedy's arm is stretched, and then you see Dr. King's arm stretched there on the other side. But you'll see all the different friends, and you can see it's truly a rainbow of the beauty of greater Indianapolis standing together to make this announcement. And of course, this is after the press conference that was held. We might add that we're thankful to a number of our media friends who got the initial word out for us. Now, naturally, afterwards, there was fun. This is right on the corner across the street from the park where friends gather for some food and fellowship. And that will be no less the case when we tell you about the three initiatives that we want to share with you today. You'll see that friends are kind of all gathered in close together. It was a small place, but it was right in the neighborhood. And that's where we're going to go in this program, to neighborhoods, to visit people where they are, and to visit with one another to say, how is it we can bridge build, establish relationships to promote this welcome to our Hispanic Latino friends? Well, the good news is I get to stop talking and my friends get to start. To my far right is Mr. Ivan Schumann, who is the co-chair for the Hispanic Latino Forum with the Church Federation. Ivan, you're just welcome.
Thank you for inviting me.
And we thank you for your vision as a co-chair of this forum. And then to his left, Lieutenant Frank Jameson from IPD, Indianapolis Police Department. Isn't it marvelous we can work with the police department?
Yes, we can.
This is a good thing. Lieutenant, you're just welcome. And we know you're heading up the regional kind of dialogue. That's one of the three
with a lot
immersions.
of help.
With a lot of help. Yes, that's right. But nevertheless, it's nice to have a point person. And we know that you're that person. So you're welcome, Lieutenant.
Thank you.
And then to his left is an old dear friend and a member of the board of the Church Federation, and that's Miss Maria Pimentel Gannon. Maria, welcome back.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Angela.
And you're heading up the local immersion, and we're going to learn more about that in just a moment. But let's go to Mr. Schumann, the co-chair. All right, kind of get us grounded. Tell us a little bit about the Hispanic Latino Forum and the vision of it, and then we're going to learn a little bit more about the specific immersions thereafter. How about it? Go ahead, Ivan.
Great. The Hispanic Latino Forum was established in 2000 from a collaboration between the Athletic Club and the Church Federation of Greater Indianapolis to start creating dialogue pretty much between the Hispanic Latino community and diverse groups of people in order to hopefully create a common bond. I've been a part of it since 2001. This year, one of the initiatives that I'm very happy to introduce is I think there's a little picture of that as our initiative, the brochure.
Got a flyer here, a brochure of the initiative.
The local and the
the
national.
Regional and the international.
And international, right.
And we might say for you to see this brochure in its entirety, all you have to do is click onto the website, www.churchfederationindy.org.
Right, exactly. And these initiatives, including Maria Pimentel Gannon, who is going to be heading the main start of these initiatives, are coming up on November the 19th and the 20th, are basically pretty much going to be the icebreaker for everything. And it's a new start. I'm very excited about it. And I believe I have very, very, very strong leadership, very, very well experienced, and I'm really excited about what's going to happen.
Ivan, thank you so much. Let's go to Maria and then come back to Lieutenant. Maria, what's going on the local levels? What do we have to look forward to this next weekend?
On Friday, November 19th and Saturday, November 20th, we will have the first of our 3 initiatives. It's called the Local Initiative, and we have 2 days that promise to be wonderful for the community, not just for those who have been working with the Church Federation, and because the Hispanic Latino Forum is comprised of the business sector, government, local business, public and private, nonprofit organizations, educational institutions, etc. But it's all of those communities coming together and coming in the spirit of building bridges of understanding and compassion that would lead us to dialogue and communication and action that would take us to positive peace relations. We'll be beginning with at one of our local churches so that they can showcase their church and let us know, share with us what they're doing in the area of building those bridges with their community. We will have a school coming in, Northwest High School coming in with a number of students from there and staff that will talk about the diversification plans there in their facility. We will also visit another school. We will be visiting Oaks Academy. And at Oaks Academy, we will have the same experience as we did with the older students. This will give us a range from pre-K through high school, that experience. Something we believe strongly that it needs to begin when the kids are young so that we can start teaching them and inculcating the need for building those bridges and understanding one another. Seek ye first to understand. Then we will head towards one of our community centers, Hawthorne Community Center. And at the center, they will have a chance to showcase what they are doing, but we'll have some special presentations there. The Indianapolis Police Department, thanks to Lieutenant Frank Jameson, who has made arrangements for Chief Jerry Barker to come and be with us, and we'll have some other guest speakers, and we will conclude the day there. It will be very interactive, so anyone who would like to come and join us and be a part of this, we really believe it's history in the making. The second day, then we will come back again with some more speakers. This will be Saturday. It is a two-day event. It only costs $25. That barely pays the cost of what it takes to put it on. And we welcome the entire community, everyone who is interested in helping us bridge those gaps that exist there so that we can make the best of the diversity that we experience here in our Indianapolis community.
Maria, thank you for getting us off to a good start, you and Ivan. All right, Lieutenant, tell us about Cincinnati. What's going to go on with Cincinnati?
Well, to piggyback on the local initiative, we're going to go to Cincinnati. That'll be our regional trip. We'll be going on December 1st and 2nd of this year. We'll leave from the Church Federation early that morning, and our first stop will be at the Underground Railroad Freedom Center, which was just recently opened in Cincinnati. Myself, Ivan, and Maria took a trip there just to see what it was like. You'll be entertained and you'll be educated as well at the Freedom Center. It's a very beautiful building. It was an architectural firm from here in Indianapolis by Alfred Blackburn actually built the Freedom Center. It sits on the river down in Cincinnati, Ohio, right across from the stadium. And like I said, you'll be educated and you'll be entertained. And it'll give you a lot of information about the struggles of the people that came up through the Underground Railroad. There's a lot of movies there, a lot of exhibits, and when we went, it was very moving and I would say heartfelt, because you just feel the energy and you feel the compassion that they had when they was building the center and the exhibits that they have. And from the center, we'll go to back to the hotel where we'll register in, because we're going to be there for 2 days, so we're going to register into a hotel and give everybody a chance to relax and get comfortable. And that afternoon, that evening, we're going to go down to Sukasa. It's a grassroots organization in Cincinnati that has been helping educate and give information out to the Hispanic Latino community for years. And we picked Su Casa because it is a grassroots organization, because you said you wanted to get back to the people that are actually affected by the movement. So we'll get educated there, we'll be enlightened. It's a very Christian organization, and we'll have a lot of information for you there. The second day is going to be a little bit of work, but it's still going to be fun. On December the 2nd, we're going to go to hold the actual forum at one of the halls in Cincinnati, where we'll do what we call our best practices. We'll exchange information on best practices from Cincinnati with the tour group that we're taking from Indianapolis, and we'll sit down and have a forum where we'll have panelists come in to talk about our three portions of the day, which is faith-based, of course. Then we have the public sector. Then we have business and schools. So we're going to have panelists to come in and talk about that. Then we're going to have workshops where you will actually participate and give your opinions, so that we will have some information that we can bring back to Indianapolis and leave in Cincinnati on best practices on how to make some of the things work and bridging that gap between the African American and the Hispanic Latino community. And we just think it's going to be fun. It's going to be enlightening. It's going to be educational and very inspiring.
Well, it sounds like you've got every front covered.
Just about.
I mean, it sounds all good. You're going to have some fun with it, but it is going to be educational, but it's going to be inspirational and informative as well. Ivan, you were going to just say something, I think.
Well, I think that I'm very proud, what the Lord is blessing us here, and I encourage our viewers to actually go to Romans 15:5-7, which is our philosophy together, to be working as one mind and as one people, working for the glory and the kingdom of our Lord Jesus Christ. And that is what our seed is, and that's what we're going to be building upon a solid foundation. And I believe I'm extremely excited, but at the same time know full well that there is going to be changes, and we literally might be making history in the making right now. So.
Can you say a little bit more, Maria, to follow up on what Ivan is saying around the different elements of our community that are coming together to do the local immersion? You mentioned the educational system, you mentioned the public sector, particularly with the police department, and of course faith. But I mean, why do you think that partnership is important? I mean, getting back to what Ivan is saying about the affirmation of the kind of seeds that have kind of germinated all of this. Why do you think that's important concretely for those different sectors to come together?
Back when we first started the Hispanic Latino Forum, we saw that, and actually the Church Federation was very visionary in this, we saw that the community was changing. And it was changing because we were having not only were we having a large influx of Hispanic Latino immigrants, and not just immigrants, people coming from different states, but the population was definitely increasing, but it was increasing very quickly. And in its vision, the Church Federation said, well, there should be a group that does something about this. Let's, start uniting people, and let's start addressing it. Let's celebrate it. What kind of impact does this have? And so that's how the Hispanic Latino Forum got started, with the purpose of educating, energizing, mobilizing, enlightening. And we did that for a few years. And now, okay, where do we go from here? How can we more tangibly look at the impact that it has, and how do we start creating those bridges so that we are coming from the same background? We are the population that comes here, they all have students in school, they all go to church, we have so much in common. So let's look at what unites us and not what divides us. What do we, and we have more in common than we do in different, so how do we do that? And that community in particular impacts, you have all kinds of different faith denominations, you have different schools that you attend, you have different socioeconomics, you have different businesses. Some of the people who are coming here are very successful in their business. And I'll just also add that not all immigrants that are coming here are Hispanic, but it is the largest population. And so we're coming in and we're saying, okay, let's all come together. We're starting off together on the same playing field. Okay, where do we go from here? How do we make the best of the situation? We are trying to be very proactive in uniting everybody and saying, okay, where do we go from here? How do we build, Indianapolis is going to benefit. As a matter of fact, it'll be a win-win for everybody, because hopefully we'll be able to educate the community as to what services are available. We'll be able to educate the business as to what type of employment market is available. We'll be able to provide churches with worshipers. We'll be able to provide the public with different places where to worship. Schools will be able to showcase what we do and just say, this is what I could do for you. This is what, you could do for me. Let's help each other. And really, let's make Indianapolis the visible, vibrant, powerful community that it can be. And all of it, again, as Ivan was saying, all of this for God's glory. And being proactive will allow us to see the giftedness of our diversity.
Lieutenant, if you could piggyback on what Maria is saying and help us understand why you think Cincinnati fits into the purposes of what the forum is about, and how does it directly relate to the local immersion? How do you see them as complementary to each other? Why Cincinnati?
Well, let me go back to the Hispanic Latino Forum as well, and let me piggyback on some of that. I see that Indianapolis has grown tremendously. The population of Hispanic Latino has grown tremendously, and there's a lot of education and a lot of misunderstanding out there. There's a lot of education that needs to be done. There's a lot of misunderstanding that needs to be cleared up. So what we thought it would be, the two initiatives, especially the regional and the local, we would bring possibly the three sectors that deal with the community on a daily basis together, so the faith-based, the public sector, the schools, and the government, because all of them are struggling to sort of catch up. So we can educate everybody about how we can bridge the gap between the Hispanic Latino community and the African American community. So we felt that by going to Cincinnati, where we know they've had some problems with race relations, we could understand or learn from them some of the mistakes they made, and then we could correct our mistakes before they even happen. We can be proactive, and we can educate everybody in the faith-based, the public sector, in the schools, and the government as to how to integrate the Hispanic Latino community into the community as a whole. So the whole community is very diverse in Indianapolis. We have Asians, we have Hispanic Latinos, Caucasians, blacks, whites, and we all have to live together. And there's a lot of misunderstanding because people don't understand each other's culture. So we're bringing that to the forefront so we can educate everybody about what their culture is like. So not just the Hispanic Latino, but the African American, the Caucasian, and the Asian as well. And to give them an understanding so we will not have those misunderstandings, and everybody have a better understanding and more enlightened about how to integrate and make the community work.
Thank you so much, Lieutenant. Ivan, what would be your comments? I mean, how do you see these initiatives moving us to the future? I mean, what do you think the outcomes will be from having done these two initiatives as the forum moves forward?
I think that the United States is very, very diverse in comparison to other countries. It normally has a lot of people from different places. We just haven't connected as well. And I think very much that communications and information is the key to enlighten all of us as a whole. This kind of movement within the spirit, actually giving God the glory, I think very strongly will give a clear message that the Bible does work, that the scriptures is a roadmap to life. We just really, because of all of the different politically correct initiatives that are trying to put forward things that I believe that are not totally successful right now, but again, using the scripture, using the word, Romans 15, 5, 7, those are the things that I believe very strongly that we can use as a foundation that will unite us, because we have a common, all of us right here. I was born in Guatemala City, and Maria is from Mexico, and even though we're from different races and different countries, our common faith is that bondage of glue that I believe is going to allow us to be able to bring down the walls and create more bridges.
I'm so glad you raised that. I mean, you are from Guatemala.
Right.
Maria is from Mexico or Mexico. And Lieutenant, where are you from?
I'm from Indianapolis.
Indian. You are a native Hoosier.
I'm a native Hoosier.
And where do you trace your ancestry? Do you trace it to the South anywhere, or strictly Indianapolis?
The vast majority of African Americans in America, they trace their ancestors back to the South because of the slave movement.
Exactly right.
And so my father's father, my grandfather was from Mississippi, and my mother, her parents came from Tennessee. So they came up from the South. When my mother came here when she was, I think, somewhere around 12 or 13. My father came up here at a very early age, and we're all from the South, so everybody starts there.
Interesting. And my family traces back to Alabama. So all of us are south of here. We're all Southerners. And you know what? There are folk who are also, you know, Caucasian and Asian who also may have some Southern roots. But isn't that interesting? I mean, just the four of us sitting here have rediscovered we have Southern roots. Now, you're a little farther south, and you're a little farther south, but we're south also. I mean, Alabama, Mississippi, Tennessee. I mean, isn't it wonderful what you discover? That's the point I'm trying to get here. When you get together and find out about your common ancestry, your common heritage, and, very important to America, religious liberty.
Yes, yes.
I mean, we live in a country where there is religious liberty and diversity.
Amen.
And, you know, it's really nice to know that living in this place, that not only can this be a role of leadership for greater Indianapolis, but even for our state, and maybe even if we are really blessed, for our nation. To have these kind of best practices, trying to figure out what works and what can work better for our future. Maria, I wanted to come back to you because you came here and actually married someone who wasn't Mexican, isn't that right? And so you've been living this all your married life and have found a new home. How has that been for you? I mean, how does that influence your work here?
It is so amazing because the ones that I really, I mean, we're all blessed, but my children in particular, they have my Mexican heritage. They also have the Irish and German heritage of their father. And so when I first came, when you come from another country, you come with your culture, your values, your heritage, and you fit into another culture, and you have to learn what that is and learn how to live within the spheres of that culture, and then you create your own culture. You try to discover who you are, and that's the culture that you've created. So now my daughters have learned the culture that I've created for myself, that I've shared with them, plus bringing them to their roots of the Mexican culture and with that of the Irish and the German. So it's living. It really is the best of all worlds, and it goes to what we're trying to do with the Hispanic Latino Forum, that we're hoping that with the local initiative, the regional initiative, and then the international initiative, and we do believe that it is history in the making, that this would serve as a model for other cities, other communities, other neighborhoods, other states, that they could take this and run with it so that they can see how, I mean, it doesn't just start at home. It has to come from the bottom up and from the top down, so that hopefully we will have all bases covered, that people could take this and say, we like what they did, you know, let's start that, because as you mentioned, the diversity here that we have is so wonderful and so beautiful, and imagine all of the diversity that we have out there. Ivan and I both speak Spanish, we're both Hispanic, yet our cultures are still very different with Guatemala and Mexico, you know, and the same thing, we talk about Hispanic Latinos, but they are just as diverse in that culture, and people don't realize this, that we have so much in common with the African American culture. What we learned from the Freedom Center, which was very beautiful, well, what some people learned, some of us knew already, was that Mexico was very instrumental in opening the doors to slaves when they were trying to get away from that. And as a result, we have a lot of black Mexicans and even more black Hispanics in South America, etc., and people don't even realize. So it's really beautiful to see when you see what would appear to be an African American gentleman or woman, and then hear Spanish flow from their mouth. I mean, it's just again,
or
we have
Portuguese,
or Portuguese,
if you're
that's
Afro-Brazilian.
Right. That's right.
There's a whole nexus of Brazil that is Afro-Brazilian.
Absolutely.
And when you talk, it's Portuguese.
Yes, yes. And we have more in common than we have in difference.
Exactly. And I mean, I think if all of us even look closely at our lives, we'll find where we've actually crossed the boundaries in our lives. I mean, for me, I'm a Buckeye, and my history is Alabama, but my husband's from Indy. I mean, even that, I mean, that may seem silly, but I mean, even across our own state lines, there are some cultural differences in Ohio that I've had to learn while I've become a Hoosierated. acculturated to the
To
Hoosier
Hoosier,
experience.
that's right.
But I'm sure all of us, if we look deep within our roots and our identity and our heritage, we'll find some opportunities that, we can cross our boundaries.
Yes.
Ivan and Lieutenant, will give you a turn to just quickly, within like 30 seconds, wrap up. What would you like to tell our audience very quickly at the end?
Well, I would like to invite the audience to really participate in these activities. I think it will be very educational, very inspirational also as well, informative. I do encourage people to participate on November the 19th and the 20th on this local initiative.
Now, where's the meeting point?
We will begin at Faith United Christian Church at 46 in Illinois, and the rest of the day we will be going by bus, by tour throughout the rest of the places. So just get there by
Right.
7:30.
7:30 in the morning.
Yes, 7:30
You're going
in
to
the
give us
morning.
donuts or something, right?
We will feed you breakfast.
Oh,
We'll do
a
this.
full
We'll do more
breakfast.
than
You hear
we-
that? Full
Yes, we
breakfast,
will-
7:30 in the morning,
We are
19th of
cooking
November.
breakfast.
We're
Yeah.
cooking breakfast,
Yes.
hot breakfast, okay?
Yeah. I'll
be
There's a
making the
donation of
scrambled eggs.
$25, however. That will help us pay for it.
Yes.
Oh, Ivan, thank you. Lieutenant, quickly.
Just quickly, for the people that don't know, as you mentioned, that there was a movement and there was a track from the Underground Railroad that led into Mexico, and you will learn that when you go to the Hispanic Latino, the Freedom Center in Cincinnati. That's part of the education that you'll get, that the Mexicans were very helpful in helping move the slaves out of the South, and when they couldn't get them far north, they would take them into Mexico, and they welcomed them in Mexico. So come with us, join with our initiatives, especially the local and the regional initiative, because they're coming up very shortly. Like I said, the regional initiative will take place December 1st and 2nd. You'll be spending the night in Cincinnati, and you will be inspired, you will be uplifted, and you will be educated as well.
Bless.
Thank you, Lieutenant. Maria, very, very quickly.
Just join us there. We invite you. It's an experience that you will not forget. Come help us celebrate our diversity.
Thank you, Maria. Thank you, Lieutenant. Thank you, Ivan, Mr. Schumann, Ms. Maria Pimentel-Gannon. You've heard it here on Faces of Faith. Hold the day, Friday, write it down, Friday, November the 19th, 7:30 a.m. in the morning. Yes, get up bright and early and have some hot breakfast with some folk who you may not know, and learn some things and have some fun. And that day will end, I think, about 5:30. I think that's what
Yes,
what the
yes.
program calls for. That day will end about 5:30, so we'll wind up back at Faith Christian Church, and that's 46 in Illinois. And we'll come back again on Saturday morning. Go to www.churchfederationindy.org. www.churchfederationindy.org. I'm Angelique Walker-Smith. Thanks for joining us. If you can't use email, call 926-5371. God bless you.